guys, I'm TheEllGemms and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, then just welcome. I make Reddit videos. Now, I'm sure you noticed that it's Saturday, and that only means one thing. That's right guys, TheEllGemms Court of F-Ups is in session. If this is your first time in the courthouse, this basically means we're going to be on r/today I effed up. We're going to read some stories and determine whether our defendants deserve community service, jail time, or if they're free to go. But before I bring out the first defendant, I'd like to ask you, the jury, if you like Reddit content, then feel free to leave a like on this video and subscribe for weekly Reddit content. And now that all is said and all is done, I'd like to ask for order in the court, please, because we're about to bring out our first defendant. Let's get into it. I'd like to call our first defendant to the stand, Gnawing Loneliness. Okay, well, anyway, the charges are: today I effed up by banshee screaming over a wasp in my room at night. Roommates think I'm crazy. See, OP, already I'm not considering you the bad guy in this situation. I'm already thinking that your reaction is incredibly valid, but let's read your defence. This just happened 2 hours ago. My stomach's still in a freefall with how embarrassed I am. 21F, I know, shame on me. Too grown for this, but I can't get over the phobia. It's night time here in the UK. I open the windows to get some fresh air in during the day. I brace myself for insects entering, so I'm always prepared. I need to get a net/mesh for prevention, but I never expected this surprise visitation by a crackhead wasp at night. As I'm getting ready for bed, I see a fat motherfucker buzzing everywhere. It's gone berserk, speeding all around my room. The buzzing is so loud that it triggers immediate hyperventilation from me, but I try to power through. I'm talking to the wasp, or myself, trying to reason with it, and subsequently me, can calm down so I can figure out a way to remove it. Nothing's working until it goes still enough that it can be captured. I slowly approach. Fat mistake. The fucker launches at my face. I don't know where the phobia comes from. All I know is that the sight and buzzing triggers a genuine petrified reaction from me. My brain registers immediate danger, and any and all rational logic goes out the window. I've handled worse shit. Fleeing from an abusive household, becoming estranged, homeless, not offing myself, but it's insects that get the better of me. I scream bloody murder, and it's like I'm having an out-of-body experience watching myself slap the air around me, whipping my head in all directions. My roommates run out of their rooms, knocking on mine and asking what happened. I currently live in an accommodation, shelter for young women, and so the staff were alerted to my room. Once everyone figured out that I wasn't in danger, my roommates looked at me incredulously, asking, how has an insect got you acting like this? My heart was pounding out of my chest, so I didn't really have an explanation for them, just apologised for the disruption. The staff member was sighing and shaking her head at me, but helped grab the fucker and released it out the window. My roommates went back to their respective rooms laughing. I think I even heard one of them on the phone talking about my idiocy to someone. And to make matters worse, the staff lady who took the wasp out looked around my room, saw my unorganised desk, and said that I should probably tidy a little bit. What a great lasting impression I've made. Well done me. TLDR, huge phobia of insects. A wasp on crack entered my room and started tweaking. The buzzing in my face set me off. I screamed loud enough, accidentally, for my roommates and staff to check what's up. To top it off, staff lady who helped me implied I'm a messy slob. Here's to hoping the ground swallows me whole overnight so I don't have to see anyone again. Well, OP, if it's any consolation, you've definitely got bonus points from me for your writing skills. That was thoroughly entertaining to read. Now, OP, as much as I do find you hilarious, and this writing style had me so entertained that I want to go easy on you, we can't ignore the facts here. This is a clear case of disturbing the roommate's peace. It was night time, you woke everyone up, and you also incited panic by screaming since everyone ran into your room thinking something was going on. However, I'm going to be mindful, OP, that you do have quite the severe phobia from what it sounds. And, you know, most people do have a phobia of insects. This isn't uncommon, this isn't unheard of. But also, this wasn't any old insect, was it? This was a wasp. And considering the fact it was a wasp, that means that you were actually at risk. Because, you know, the usual, oh, he's more scared of you than you are of him, or, oh, it won't hurt you, this is just an insect. Doesn't really count when it's a wasp, because those little things will just sting you for the love of the game. So this is an incredibly valid reaction to having one in your room. So then I could further argue that the commotion that you did cause, OP, was actually an act of self-defence, meaning, technically, you have done nothing wrong in this situation. So let's review your charges. Firstly, we've got disturbing the roommate's peace. Now, we could argue that technically, in your disturbance of their peace, you actually help them, because wasps are pretty violent creatures. Like I said, they'll sting you for the love of the game, so you alerting everyone to the presence of the wasp is actually a good thing. Secondly, inciting panic. Technically you did do that, OP, and you know, it wasn't what they thought. They probably assumed that there was like a home invader or something, and well, technically there was, because there was a wasp in the house. But my point is, there was good reason to panic. So is it really inciting panic when there's a valid reason to be afraid? That being said, OP, the actions that you've told us about today were a clear result of you being provoked, you were scared, and they were simply just self-defense. So that being said, you're free to go. I'm dropping the charges. And with that, you may leave the stand, and I'm now calling up our next defendant, Candid Weekend, 8951. The charges: today I effed up by hiding a spoon from my roommate for 3 years, and now I don't know what to do with it. For shame, again with the crimes against roommates. It appears we've got a case of roommate belonging theft, guys. Let's move on to your defence, OP. My roommate and I have been living together throughout college, and she's my best friend. In the first year of living together, there was a situation where I left her measuring cup in the kitchen sink and ran the food disposal without checking if anything was in there. The handle of the measuring cup got bent, but not the actual measuring area, so I thought it would be okay. My roommate saw the damage and had a surprisingly emotional reaction. That was the first time she ever really got mad at me, so it made the whole situation quite memorable for me. She had her own reasons for her reaction, which I don't blame her for. I apologised, and we're good. But I had done it again with her spoon not too long after that moment and left a small scratch on the metal in a scoop pot. I swear after this I haven't made the same mistake. I was still a bit scarred from her reaction and didn't want her to be upset at me, so I did the logical thing and hid my crime, the spoon, in my room. Fast forward 3 years and we've just graduated college and we'll soon be going our separate ways. I just found the spoon again in my room and I don't know what to do with it. She is very observant, so I'm surprised she hasn't noticed up to this point, but I'm wondering if she might notice now that she's taken her stuff home, and if I should just put it back. I'm not too worried about what kind of reaction I'll get. I don't think it will be the same, but I think it's kind of funny that I held on to it after all these years in fear of her getting upset at me. I thought about continuing to hold on to it and giving it to her as a future gift or something to laugh about in the future. I saw somewhere that you can turn spoons into rings, so maybe I'll turn it into a ring and give it to her. Curious if anyone else has any fun suggestions, or should I just put it back? Thanks. TLDR, accidentally damaged my roommate's spoon and got an unexpected response. Did it again but hid it, and I'm open to suggestions on how to return it. Well, OP, I'm going to need a longer piece of paper because there are so many charges, I don't think I could write them all down on my A4. So, first up here, we've got a classic case of destruction of roommate property. However, it appears that was never brought to the F-Up court and all was forgiven, so we can move past that. But we can't, can we? Because then you repeat said mistake. And that means we've got a classic charge of oops, I did it again to the first degree, and I cannot look past that, OP. And then, OP, after you have repeated your mistake, do you go to your roommate? Do you grovel? Do you beg for forgiveness? No. You hide the evidence, you take it away, and you hide the shame of your crime, which is a classic case of obstruction of the obvious. There does appear to be many layers to this. There's the initial crime, there's the repetition of the crime, there's the tampering with the evidence, the deception, and then, OP, you plan to taunt your roommate with said crime. Now that, we can't ignore that. Does your roommate know that she's living with a serial spoon murderer? OP, I cannot sit here today as judge and pretend that this isn't a victimless crime. You have harmed many people, including too many spoons, 2 to be exact. And then there's the deception and the lying to your roommate. Oh, it's absolutely ghastly. OP, after much consideration and much evaluation, I've decided that you definitely effed up on many levels here, and I think you need some time to reflect on your F-Ups, and so for that, I'm sentencing you to 3 years in the F-Up jail. 1 for each spoon, and 1 for the victim, who is the roommate. God, take him away. And now let's welcome our next defendant to the stand. Strong Orange, 3721. The charges are: today I effed up by having the cops called on me for losing my shit at my roommates for eating my cake. OP, that's quite the title there. I'm really quite concerned but also morbidly curious about what you could have done that warranted the cops being called on you over this. Onto your defence, OP. I came back from work on Friday with a small cake that a co-worker who I'm friends with baked for me. It was my birthday last week, but she was on leave and had promised to bake a cake for my birthday. I usually would have shared something like cake, but I didn't because my roommates are constantly eating my food without asking. My leftovers, oatmeal, egg, milk, bread, like they can just help themselves to anything like I'm a fucking grocery store. I'm not even sure which roommate it is because I haven't caught anyone in the act. I have spoken to them calmly multiple times, but all of them denied it. Anyways, I just cut myself a small slice of cake and put the rest in the fridge. I made a point to tell all of my roommates that the cake in the fridge belongs to me and please don't touch it. Later that night I woke up and decided to go get myself another slice and found half the cake gone. I'm usually a very calm and rational person, but I just completely lost it because it felt like a fuck you to me. It was in the AMs, but I knocked on all of their doors and yelled at them to come out. I told them that I'm not going anywhere until whomever ate my cake owns up to it, and that I'm going to kick his ass because it's probably the same asshole who won't stop eating my food despite me asking them multiple times to stop. I was bluffing because I've never actually kicked anyone's ass, and I was hoping that no one took me up on it. I was just angry. I kept ranting loudly about how fed up I was with their thieving, but only one of them came out. He told me it wasn't him and there was no need for me to act like this over cake, which just pissed me off more. Eventually the cops came. Apparently a neighbour had complained about the noise. The other roommates only came out then. The cops just basically told us to behave and keep it down and then left. For a second there I was really worried. The last thing I need is to be arrested over cake. TLDR, I almost got arrested over cake. Okay, OP, first of all, valid crash out. Probably the most valid crash out I've seen in a long time. Not only have they been continuously stealing your food despite you asking multiple times to stop doing that, they went as far as to steal your birthday cake. That's just disrespect on another level. You do not take someone's birthday cake without permission. I'm just imagining you get angrier and angrier over this, the more that you're yelling, then the more that they're like, oh, it wasn't me. You're just like, well, it was fucking one of yours. Just absolutely losing it. And then that guy's got the nerve to be like, hey, chill, it's just cake, why are you acting like this? That would have set me off. That would have, I would have had to go to the police, please take me before I kill one of these people. My only real criticism of you, OP, is the fact that you've probably scared the neighbours half to death with this little rant. But, like I said, valid crash out, but the neighbours don't understand the full situation. They probably thought there was a domestic going on and they were really scared. They obviously were since they called the police. But, once again, not really your fault, OP. You were pushed and pushed and pushed. People just kept pushing their luck, walking all over you, ignoring you, and then you finally snapped, and that's completely valid. What I will say to you, OP, is invest in a lockbox for the fridge, or maybe just a mini fridge of your own for your bedroom, because you're clearly living with some truly gluttonous motherfuckers who can't resist taking your food, and you're going to have to go the extreme route to protect what is yours. Oh, I've just remembered. I wonder if anyone else is going to remember this story, but the guy who kept having his lunches stolen out of the shared fridge at work, so one day he stuck a bunch of chilies and all that crap in his food to make it really hot, so he could find out who it was because they wouldn't own up, and that's how he found the culprit. OP, take some lessons, start doing that if you like spicy food, lace your food with chili. Okay, anyway, back to the point because we went on a bit of a tangent there. OP, from what I'm seeing, there are no F-Ups here. Oh, technically there is because you got a bit angry and the police had to come down. I wouldn't really consider that an F-Up though. I would consider that a very valid reaction to continuously having your belongings messed with and stolen from you. You are the victim of a crime here and you just reacted to it, and so for that reason I'm dropping all the charges. You're free to go. Our next defendant to the stand is Fantastic Fox 42. The charges are: today I effed up by letting my younger cousin win at Mario Kart. Is this really? I was very bad at Mario Kart, so my younger cousin won, but I don't want to admit that. Is that the case, OP? OP's defence reads: so this happened a few months ago, but it's still kinda messing with me lol. My 8-year-old cousin was over for a family thing, and he's a pretty quiet kid. Gets overwhelmed around adults and mostly just sits in the corner with his Switch. I thought maybe I could help him feel more included, so I offered to play some Mario Kart with him. He lit up right away, told me he loved racing games, but he never wins when he plays with his older brothers. So I figured, yeah, sure, why not? I'll let him have a couple wins, help him feel like a champ. I started sandbagging a bit, not drifting much, slowing down at the end so he could pass me. The usual big cousin move, you know. He wins 3 races in a row and now he's bouncing around like he's just won the lottery, yelling, "I'm actually good at this!" And my aunt is clapping and smiling like he's just graduated college or something. Wholesome moment, 10 out of 10. But then eventually he wants to keep playing, like a lot. I keep letting him win because I'm thinking, alright, this'll burn out. Spoiler, it didn't. Fast forward to now, this kid brings his Switch over every time he visits. He walks in the door like, "You ready to lose again?" And I laugh, but inside I know it's not a joke anymore. He grinded, he actually practiced, he knows all the shortcuts, hits every drift, uses mushrooms like some sort of kart racing warlock. I started trying again and he still beats me, like regularly. It's not even close sometimes. And the worst part, he talks trash, like straight up. Maybe you should pick baby mode and "Did you mean to fall off the rainbow road?" or... His dad, my uncle, told me he plays every day now and tells his school friends I beat a grown-up at Mario Kart and made him quit, which technically did happen once when I rage quit after getting blue shelled twice in one race. I'm not proud. Anyway, yeah, I was just trying to be nice and now I have a pint-sized rival who's slowly destroying my gaming self-esteem, one race at a time. At least he says I'm his favourite cousin now before he obliterates me on Wario Stadium. TLDR, tried to let my little cousin win at Mario Kart to boost his confidence, actually created a mini tryhard who now absolutely wrecks me every time he visits. OP, you do realise the severity of what you've done, right? You have created a monster, you have toyed with the very creation of human life itself and created a beast. This is really funny though. I'm just imagining this kid like at school. "Yeah, I'm better than the grown-ups at Mario Kart. What about it?" Is this what they meant when they said the road to hell is paved with good intentions? You know, you saw your cousin, he was a bit sad, a bit out of place, so you're like, "Hey, let's play Mario Kart." And then you take pity on the kid, and you're like, "I'm gonna let him win, make him feel good because I'm a good big cousin." And then you've created a monster, like I've literally said. He's like, "Yeah, I'm better than you all, mwahaha." OP, I feel that you've doomed us all as a society. Your nephew's now just going to be like destroying every single person in the online Mario games. He's going to be causing so many rage quits, so much anguish and pain. Think of all those poor Mario Kart players that will suffer because of your actions. OP, I'm sorry, but I have to say it. This is a clear-cut case of unlawful encouragement of a future sweat lord at a first-degree charge. Now the only thing saving you here, OP, is the fact that you had good intentions. You were trying to be a nice person, and that is the only thing that has saved you from a jail sentence at the F-Up jail. Instead, I'm going to sentence you to 7 months of community service. Guards, take him away. And now I call our next defendant to the stand. Talk Nice 1901. The charges: today I effed up by eating raw sausage. Really, OP? Really? This actually happened? Okay, well we're going to have the medical team on standby, and we're going to read your defence now. I'm at a party at my buddy's house. He pokes his head out of the kitchen and says, "Sausages are done, guys." He asked me if I want one. I declined, so I had it in my head that the sausages weren't cooked. He put some in a Tupperware for me to take home. I continued to have it in my head that they are cooked. I was even planning to take some of them to work, but I forgot. I'm at home, I'm hungry. I think I'll have some of those sausages. I pull them out the fridge and I think they look a little bit funny. I usually don't turn the lights on during the day. The sun coming in is bright enough to see, but it's still rather dim. If it had been brighter, I probably would have recognised the issue. As it is, I shrug and put one of them in the microwave. It bursts, but no big deal, it's warm at least. I take a bite, chew, swallow. That didn't taste like sausage at all. Where's the juice, the salt, the spice? It tasted like nothing. Suddenly, it occurs to me. I stare in horror at the tube of pink and grey matter in my hand. I make myself vomit. Afterward, while researching the likelihood of dying of trichinosis, I find that you're not supposed to do that. Still, the thought of offal just sitting in my stomach was too awful to contemplate. I've done a lot of dumb things in my life, and this is probably the dumbest. I cannot possibly tell anyone in real life. Now I'm twiddling my thumbs waiting to see if I'll die of food poisoning. It could take anywhere from 24 hours to a week. Wish me luck. TLDR, certain that the sausages were cooked, ignored all the signs to the contrary. I ate some and I'm still waiting to see if I will die. Right, okay. OP, I've got a lot of questions and I feel like there's quite a lot unanswered in this post that you've made here. Firstly, did you not check the internal temperature of the sausages? I mean, that's sort of the first thing you do when you reheat food in the microwave, right? You take it out and you're like, is that hot in the middle? Ouch, yes it is hot, so it's fine to consume. I mean, of course I'm not saying that this is your fault, OP, but this is, quite the easily preventable situation. See, OP, to me I consider this to be a culinary negligence charge, which is quite severe and quite easily preventable if we use our brains. I am wondering though, if OP did eat raw meat, that meant everyone else there ate raw meat. Maybe you could possibly check in with these other people. Hey, have you guys been experiencing any stomach issues after eating those sausages? Because I'm pretty sure I ate them raw. I truly just can't fathom how on earth this has happened, because they were apparently cooked, everyone else ate them, and you make no mention of anyone else being sick from eating them. You rewarm them enough that they literally burst open, which usually happens when they're super hot. So it must have been warm to the centre of it. So how on earth was it raw? And how did you not notice it was raw? I mean, come on. I feel like raw sausage is a very, signature appearance. You'd be able to tell, surely. OP, you came into the TheEllGemms Court of F-Ups today with the charges of culinary negligence and the reckless endangerment of oneself, and after reviewing your charges and reading over your defence, I've decided there is no world in which this F-up is not completely your fault, and where I can begin to look past your F-up, and so I'm sentencing you to 1 year in the F-up jail. And with that, court for today is finished. I do hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you've made it up until this point, thank you so much. You might as well leave a like and go down to the comments and tell me what you thought my sentencing. Was I too harsh? Was I not harsh enough? Give me your opinion. How long would you have sentenced these people for? And until next time, bye bye.